My beloved child. You did not click this by accident. Something inside you felt a pull. A quiet pressure in your chest that whispered there is more to this story than what you have been shown. From the outside, they look familiar, predictable, almost ordinary. But tonight, the mask begins to crack. Every smile you trusted, every word you believed, every silence you ignored is about to rearrange itself in your mind. Stay with me, because once this truth reveals itself, you will never see them the same way again. This is not drama. This is not imagination. This is the moment when hidden patterns finally speak, and when they do, they speak loudly. There is a reason your intuition has been restless. You sensed a mismatch between what they show and what they carry. Their eyes pause a second too long. Their words arrive perfectly timed, yet feel strangely empty. You blamed yourself for doubting. You told yourself you were overthinking. But the truth is simpler and far more unsettling. They have been curating a version of themselves just for you. Not to impress you, but to control how you perceive them. Every reaction they gave was calculated. Every emotional response was measured. This was never about honesty. It was about influence. And the moment you realize this, the past starts making terrifying sense. Here is the shocking part that most people miss. They are not confused. They are not unaware. They know exactly what they are doing. The pauses, the sudden warmth, the unexplained distance, all of it follows a pattern. A pattern designed to keep you emotionally invested while never giving you the full truth. You felt pulled closer even when something felt wrong. That was not love. That was conditioning. They fed you just enough validation to keep you hoping, and just enough doubt to keep you dependent. This is why you kept replaying conversations in your head at night, searching for meaning that was never meant to be clear. Now listen carefully, because this is where everything changes. The truth is not that they are powerful. The truth is that they are deeply afraid. Afraid of being seen as they truly are. Afraid that if you saw the whole picture, you would walk away without hesitation. So they built a version of themselves that fits your expectations. They mirrored your values. They echoed your emotions. They studied your reactions. Not because they wanted connection, but because they wanted safety. Your belief in them became their shield. And your silence became their permission. This is the moment of awakening. You are no longer the same person who clicked this video. Awareness has shifted something inside you. You are beginning to see that the shocking truth is not just about them. It is about you realizing your own clarity. The fog is lifting. The emotional grip is weakening. And from this point forward, every interaction will feel different, because you now see what was hidden in plain sight. Stay with this feeling. Do not rush past it. This is the beginning of a completely new way of seeing them, and once this door opens, it never truly closes. The moment you start observing instead of reacting, everything begins to expose itself. What once felt confusing now feels precise. You notice how they enter a room already prepared, already guarded, already performing. Their laughter arrives on cue. Their concern appears exactly when it benefits them. This is not coincidence. This is rehearsal. You were never meant to see the rehearsal, only the final act. And yet, something in you has shifted. You are no longer absorbing the show. You are watching the mechanics behind it. That is why their presence suddenly feels heavier, like a story that has been repeated too many times. There is a hidden contradiction they live with every day. They want to be admired, but they fear being known. So they create closeness without intimacy, attention without depth, and promises without roots. You may remember moments when they spoke big words but avoided simple truths. Moments when they changed the subject just as things became real. Moments when your emotions were met with charm instead of clarity. This was not accidental. Depth would have required honesty, and honesty would have required courage. They chose comfort instead. And in doing so, they slowly trained you to accept less while hoping for more. What makes this truth so shocking is how quietly it worked. There was no dramatic betrayal, no obvious conflict, no single moment you could point to and say, "This is where it broke." Instead, it was a slow erosion. Your expectations softened. Your boundaries blurred. Your voice lowered. You adapted without realizing you were adapting. That is the most dangerous kind of influence. The kind that convinces you it is your choice, while subtly steering every direction you take. And now, as you look back, you realize how often you adjusted yourself to keep the peace they never truly offered. Here is the part that reclaims your power. The moment you stop feeding the illusion, it collapses. Not loudly. Not dramatically. It collapses in silence. They sense the change before you say a word. Your energy no longer reacts the same. Your questions sound firmer. Your patience feels shorter. This is when they become uneasy. Because the version of you that once accepted confusion is fading. And without that version of you, their carefully built image has nothing to stand on. You are not becoming cold. You are becoming clear. Let this understanding settle deeply. You were not weak for trusting. You were human. You were open. The real shift happens now, when awareness replaces hope, and clarity replaces excuses. You do not need confrontation to move forward. You do not need closure from someone who thrived on ambiguity. What you need is this moment of seeing. Because once you see them clearly, their influence ends. And from here, every step you take belongs fully to you. There is a silent test that begins now, and they do not even realize they are taking it. When you stop over-explaining, when you stop chasing clarity, when you stop filling the gaps they created, their behavior starts to change. Not because you asked for anything, but because you removed access to your emotional energy. This is where the truth reveals its sharpest edge. Someone who was genuine would step forward with honesty. Someone who was pretending will retreat into confusion, deflection, or distance. Watch carefully. Their response will tell you everything words never did. What you are witnessing is not resistance. It is exposure. They relied on your emotional availability more than they ever admitted. Your patience made their inconsistency comfortable. Your understanding made their silence acceptable. Now that those things are no longer freely given, they feel destabilized. You may notice subtle shifts. A sudden attempt to regain control. A return of charm that feels rushed. Or an unexplained coldness meant to provoke a reaction. This is not growth. This is panic. Because the version of you that once sustained their illusion is no longer playing the role. Here is something rarely spoken out loud. People like this do not fear losing you. They fear losing the version of you that believed without questioning. The one who waited. The one who gave the benefit of the doubt. That version made their life easier. The moment you stepped into awareness, the dynamic changed. You stopped being predictable. You stopped being manageable. And nothing unsettles someone more than realizing they can no longer control the narrative they carefully designed. As this unfolds, you may feel an unexpected emotion. Grief. Not for them, but for the time you spent doubting yourself. For the moments you stayed silent when something felt wrong. Allow that feeling to pass through you without judgment. It is not weakness. It is release. Every realization brings a small ending, and every ending creates space for something real. You are not losing anything of value here. You are shedding an illusion that demanded your energy while giving you uncertainty in return. This is the turning point where your perspective permanently shifts. You no longer look at them through hope or fear. You see them through clarity. And clarity is calm. It does not argue. It does not beg. It simply observes and chooses differently. From this moment on, their actions will speak louder than their explanations. And you will finally trust what you see, instead of what you were told to believe. Something subtle but irreversible happens when clarity settles in your mind. You begin to notice how quiet confidence feels different from emotional tension. The chaos that once felt intense now feels unnecessary. You realize how much noise was created just to keep you distracted from the absence of truth. This is where your perception sharpens. You are no longer impressed by grand gestures or perfectly timed words. You are drawn only to consistency. And in that silence, you finally hear what was always missing. They may try to rewrite the story now. Not with lies, but with selective memories. They will highlight moments where they seemed present and ignore the patterns where they disappeared. This is how narratives are manipulated. By focusing on fragments instead of the whole picture. But you are no longer looking at fragments. You are seeing the full sequence. You recognize that real connection does not require confusion, and real care does not leave you questioning your worth. What once sounded convincing now feels hollow, because truth does not need decoration. There is power in the pause you now hold. You are no longer rushing to respond. You are no longer explaining your feelings to be understood. You are no longer shrinking your needs to keep someone comfortable. This pause is not distance. It is discernment. And discernment changes the dynamic without effort. They feel it. They sense that the emotional leverage they once had is gone. Not because you became distant, but because you became centered. At this stage, you may notice an urge within yourself to rescue them from the discomfort they are feeling. This is where many people slip back into old patterns. But understand this clearly. Their discomfort is not your responsibility. It is the natural consequence of no longer being able to hide behind ambiguity. Growth does not happen when everything is smooth. It happens when illusions collapse. By not intervening, you are allowing truth to do its work. This is no longer about uncovering who they are. It is about honoring who you are becoming. Someone who sees clearly. Someone who trusts their inner signals. Someone who no longer needs external validation to feel secure. The shocking truth has already done its job. It has shifted your foundation. And from here, you move forward lighter, steadier, and fully aware that what you walked away from was not depth, but disguise. There comes a moment when understanding turns into acceptance, and acceptance turns into freedom. You stop waiting for the final explanation. You stop hoping for the one sentence that will suddenly make everything make sense. You realize that clarity was never hidden from you. It was simply delayed by your willingness to give endless chances. This realization does not arrive with anger. It arrives with calm. A calm so steady that it changes how you carry yourself, how you speak, and how you choose silence over unnecessary engagement. You now recognize how attachment was slowly built through inconsistency. Consistency creates safety. Inconsistency creates fixation. They were present just enough to stay relevant and distant just enough to stay powerful. That balance kept your attention locked. But now, the pattern has been broken. The emotional loop no longer pulls you back. You see that real connection does not keep you guessing. Real connection feels grounding, not draining. And once you feel that difference, you cannot unfeel it. What is truly shocking is how quickly your energy shifts when you stop investing where truth is absent. You feel lighter without trying. Your thoughts slow down. Your intuition becomes louder. You are no longer scanning for signs or decoding hidden meanings. Life feels simpler because you are no longer negotiating with uncertainty. This is not because something was fixed between you and them. It is because something was resolved within you. They may still exist in your world, but their presence no longer defines your emotional state. Their words no longer carry weight. Their reactions no longer dictate your mood. This is the quiet end of influence. Not through confrontation, but through detachment. When someone loses access to your emotional responses, they lose control. And this shift happens without announcement, without explanation, and without regret. This is where your story truly changes. You move forward with a deeper respect for yourself and a sharper awareness of patterns that once confused you. You do not need to harden your heart to protect it. You only need clarity. And now that you have it, you walk differently, choose differently, and see people differently. The shocking truth was never meant to break you. It was meant to wake you up. A different kind of awareness now lives inside you, quiet but unshakable. You no longer rush to label people as good or bad. You simply see alignment or misalignment. This is maturity. This is discernment. You understand that the most revealing truths are not spoken loudly. They are revealed through patterns, timing, and consistency. What once felt mysterious now feels obvious. And this shift is permanent. Once your eyes adjust to clarity, they cannot return to illusion. You may notice that your standards have changed without effort. You are no longer impressed by intensity. You are no longer drawn to emotional highs that come with emotional cost. You seek steadiness, presence, and sincerity. This is why certain conversations feel shorter now. Certain connections feel heavier now. It is not because something is wrong with you. It is because you have outgrown dynamics that required you to shrink your awareness to survive. Growth does not always feel exciting. Sometimes it feels quiet and firm. Here is the truth that seals everything. People reveal who they are when they realize they cannot control how you see them anymore. Some will step back with dignity. Some will try one last time to pull you into old cycles. Some will fade away without explanation. None of these outcomes require your response. Your clarity has already answered the question. You do not owe energy to what no longer aligns. You do not owe access to those who thrived on your uncertainty. As you move forward, you will recognize familiar patterns faster. Not with fear, but with confidence. You will trust your inner signals earlier. You will listen when something feels off instead of waiting for proof. This does not make you closed. It makes you wise. Wisdom is not built from suspicion. It is built from experience processed honestly. And you have processed this fully now. This is where peace settles in. Not the loud kind. The steady kind. The kind that does not need validation. The kind that does not chase explanation. The kind that knows when to stay and when to walk away. The shocking truth has completed its work. It has changed how you see them, but more importantly, it has changed how you see yourself. And that is the kind of change nothing can ever take from you. There is a quiet strength that emerges when nothing needs to be proven anymore. You no longer feel the urge to explain your decisions or justify your distance. Your clarity speaks for itself. This is the stage where your presence feels solid, not reactive. You understand that the need to be understood by everyone was never strength. It was habit. And now that habit has dissolved. You choose alignment over approval, truth over comfort, and peace over performance. What once felt like a loss now reveals itself as protection. You see how many emotional detours you avoided by waking up when you did. How many compromises you no longer have to make. How many versions of yourself you no longer need to become just to be accepted. This realization is grounding. It anchors you in self-respect. You no longer romanticize confusion or excuse inconsistency. You recognize that clarity is not boring. It is stable. And stability is where real connection begins. At this point, the past no longer pulls at you. You can look back without emotional charge. Without resentment. Without longing. The story no longer asks for resolution because you have already resolved it within yourself. This is emotional independence. It does not isolate you. It refines you. You are more selective, not more closed. You are more present, not more guarded. Your energy is no longer scattered. It is intentional. You may notice how different people respond to this version of you. Some feel inspired. Some feel uncomfortable. Some quietly disappear. Let them. Not everyone is meant to walk with you into clarity. Some were only meant to reveal what you were ready to outgrow. There is no bitterness in this understanding. Only truth. And truth does not demand loyalty from those who cannot meet it. This is where the journey completes itself. Not with noise. Not with confrontation. But with inner alignment. You now see people as they are, without projecting who you hoped they would be. You see yourself as you are becoming, without doubting your direction. The shocking truth did not just change how you see them. It elevated how you see life. And from here, every step forward is taken with awareness, calm, and unshakable self-trust. A rare calm now surrounds your thoughts, the kind that arrives only after truth has fully settled. You are no longer replaying scenes in your mind or searching for alternate endings. The need to revisit the past has faded, because nothing there is unresolved anymore. You understand that clarity does not shout. It simply stays. And this staying power is what reshapes your future choices without effort or force. You begin to recognize how differently you move through the world now. Your reactions are slower, but your decisions are faster. You do not hesitate where hesitation once lived. You no longer confuse familiarity with safety or intensity with meaning. This shift is subtle, yet profound. It is the difference between being pulled and choosing direction. And from this place, your energy becomes selective, not guarded, but deliberate. What truly changes here is your relationship with silence. Silence no longer feels empty or threatening. It feels informative. You listen more. You observe more. You sense when something aligns and when it does not. This is not suspicion. This is awareness refined through experience. You have learned that what is real does not rush you, and what is honest does not confuse you. This understanding now guides you quietly, consistently, and without drama. There is a sense of gratitude that emerges, unexpected but genuine. Not gratitude for what happened, but for what it taught you. For the strength you discovered. For the intuition you reclaimed. For the version of yourself that now stands clearer and steadier than before. You realize that growth often arrives disguised as disappointment, and wisdom often follows emotional discomfort. This recognition does not harden you. It deepens you. This is the final transformation. You no longer seek shocking truths, because you trust yourself to recognize them naturally. You no longer need revelations to feel grounded, because awareness lives within you now. The story has done what it needed to do. It has sharpened your vision. It has strengthened your sense of self. And as you move forward, you do so with quiet confidence, knowing that nothing hidden can ever hold power over someone who sees clearly.